Hey disciples, and welcome to Everyday Hope.
Your daily inspiration from the Word of God.
We're back on a regular schedule. That's 2 days in a row. Yeah, it's something to be happy for. And with that, today we're talking about apologies. A true apology, a sincere apology. Something that Alyssa has to do quite often. Just kidding. Something I have to do quite often, just like I had to apologize to you guys for missing days. So let's talk about a sincere apology and what makes it. What does it mean to say, I'm sorry? So, saying I'm sorry is truly one of the hardest things we can do as humans, right? Nobody likes to say I'm sorry because what you're doing is you're acknowledging your own failure, that your relationship with another person, that you had fault in damaging that. And one of the things we have the hardest time with as humans is pride and humility, and so we don't want to admit fault. We always want to point the finger, and we go back to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and when God said, okay, now who ate from the tree? You had Adam. He's like, Adam, you ate from the tree, and he's like, well, it wasn't my fault, God. It was that wife you gave me. It was her fault. She gave me the apple.
She told me to do it.
And so he goes, Eve, what do you have to say for yourself? Well, God, it wasn't me. The devil made me do it. That serpent, he made me do it. So the blame game goes on. And, today it's the same way. Nobody likes to take the blame or to be the ones to have to apologize. We'd rather make excuses. So it's one of the most important, I would say, skills to develop. I don't even call it a skill, but it's one of the most important emotions to develop, because I think it's something that comes from the heart, a sincere apology, and it's having remorse for your actions. And it's something we only develop to have good relationships with others, with family, and even for our relationship with God. In fact, God finds it so important that he says this, and this is going to be out of the book of Matthew, and it's going to be chapter 5, starting at verse 23. This is very important, guys. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you. In other words, if you've hurt or offended your brother, which is just somebody, if you've hurt and offended anybody, right? Leave your gift at the altar, and first go and be reconciled with your brother, and then come back and offer your gift. So God says, before you come here and try to offer me gifts and stuff, go make your life right. Go fix the relationships that you've broken before you work on improving this relationship. Don't try to bring me offerings when you have work to be done and a heart to forgive somebody or to be forgiven for one of your transgressions. That's how much importance God puts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like we talked about, that takes humility. So why is offering a genuine apology so difficult? Well, it goes back to admitting that we're wrong, and we make ourselves very vulnerable when we ask for forgiveness. It's like you're in a battle, you lay down the shield, the sword, or, you're in one of those situations where, okay, I'm going to put down my gun and trust you, and you feel completely vulnerable, like you're completely at their will, or if they were to attack, you'd be defenseless because you just laid your heart out there for somebody.
Yeah. It's difficult, and I mean, you don't know how they're going to react to your apology sometimes either, and which makes it even harder, more nerve-wrenching, and it's just something you got to do, though.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we're going to go through a formula of what an apology is, but real quickly, let's talk about what an apology is not. And those were things I was really good at before I was saved. She'll tell you, I had the best not apologies ever. I'm sorry that you weren't listening to me. I'm sorry that you were offended by what I said. You got it?
I'm sorry things didn't go your way.
I'm sorry I hate your cats.
You hate my cats?
So you go back forward, and you're still putting blame on somebody, though. You're not really saying sorry. I'm sorry that offended you. I'm sorry that other things came up and I couldn't be there. I'm sorry that work's been so busy that I haven't been able to help you out. Or I'm sorry that I'm too busy making money to spend more time with the kids. And we say apologies, but what we're really saying is it's not our fault. That's not a true apology. That's not a heartfelt apology. And nor are you sincere in your own heart when you give an apology like that. So, first, I'm going to give a quote, you guys, not from the Bible. It's from Benjamin Franklin. He said, "Never ruin an apology with an excuse." What does that say? When you apologize, take ownership of your action. Don't apologize and say, well, I had a really hard day and I was already on edge, and so I came home hungry. You know how I get when I'm hungry, so that's why I snapped at you.
Across the kitchen, and I
story.
snapped.
So that's one thing. And then
Hangry.
I also want to say this before we get into the actual apology. Just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean that you have to let them back in that situation, or put yourself back in that situation for that matter. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. So I'm 6, I'm going to say 4 because it sounds better. 6 sounds a little like I should know, but I didn't. And me and my sister got 2 kittens, right? We never had pets. And I was like, yeah, we have kittens. My mom, after a few days, like, they smell bad. You guys need to take care of them. You need to bathe them. So we got the bath. My mom did it, helped us. We washed the cats, right? And they were wet. My mom's like, make sure you dry them. And then my sister had to run and do something, and I was like, well, I'll dry them both. I got this. And so my sister trusted me with the care of her cat to dry it off real quick. There was a towel right there, but in my mind I was like, man, we don't ever dry things with towels. What we do is we just throw them in the dryer. So I grabbed the 2 kittens, put them in the towel, threw them in the dryer, and I turned the dryer on. Now, a lot of you right now are gasping. You're like, oh my gosh, he is admitting to animal abuse. He's a terrible person. First off, the cats lived, okay? They were totally fine, checked out, completely fine. They lived. They were only in there about a minute and a half before my mom came running down, hearing the cats making all sorts of fighting noises, fighting for their lives probably. And so she pulled them out, and my sister yelled at me and stuff. And though she forgave me, I doubt she would let me wash, dry, or even be the guardian of her cat to this day. So, it could be a bigger example. You let your son borrow your car, he wrecks it because he's speeding and running red lights, and you find out that's how he got in an accident. You forgive him, you love him, but you just got a new car and he needs to borrow it. You might be like, I'll give you a ride. How about that? There's other options here. So what is an apology then, Josh? You told us what it's not. You told us about excuses. You told us about what forgiving means. What's the apology? Well, let's do this. A sincere apology has 3 parts. And those parts are, I'm sorry. I was going to get the second one. It is my fault. What can I do to make things right? Those are the 3 parts. I'm sorry. It is my fault. What can I do to make things right? Now, remember, it takes 2 to fight. In almost any situation, it takes 2 to fight. Now, but it only takes 1 to apologize. And there'll be situations that don't always involve a fight that need apologies as well. But I feel like the hardest apologies that we struggle with the most are when our pride's on the line, where we feel like we were wronged and we deserve an apology. They owe us an apology for what they did to us. But we don't want to be the ones to humble ourselves or to get rid of that terrible sin of pride, to be the ones to apologize first, or maybe the only ones to apologize. But that's when you have to stand firm and give that apology. And you don't have to be accountable for their actions. That's not you. That's between them and God. And what we're talking about is between you and God. And we all have that person who we have a hard time apologizing to. Maybe you have something in your life right now, and you're trying to repair that bridge, but you're too stubborn or prideful to start repairing it. So, what's my experience? Well, when I was saved, I took the time to write, message, or call every person I felt I had wronged in my life. No matter what they did to me, no matter what they've said about me, no matter where their lives are now, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they did to me. What matters is what I did to them. That's what mattered to me. It mattered to me that I did not guard my words or my mouth properly. That I said things that were rude and obscene and that I shouldn't have said. That my actions were not patient and they were not kind. That when I had options of how to deal with a situation, I didn't take the one that I would say, would be the calmest or most rational route. I would storm off, I would cause a scene, I would blow it up into a bigger fight than it was, I would text the next day and be like, I can't believe you did that to me, adding guilt to them. And none of those things were Christian things that I had done. And, I knew that, well, maybe I was justified because I thought I was justified because they started the fight. They came at me in a situation where they shouldn't have, and I started rationalizing it, just like the devil would want me to do. And then, when I was saved, God told my heart, He's like, hey, what they did is between them and me. You worry about what you did, because you didn't act appropriately or according to my will. You didn't obey or honor me with your actions, your words, with that situation. You owe your brother an apology. That's where the sincere apology comes from, the heart, from remorse. I'm sorry. I let my pride get the best of me. I am accountable for my actions, and I hurt you. I said things, and I made a scene that I shouldn't have. And I can't take that back, but I want to repair the relationship with you. It is completely my fault, and you tell me what I can do to make things right. I can tell you I'm already changing my behavior. I'm already seeking the Bible and forgiveness from God, and I'm in prayer. And whatever you think will help repair our relationship, I will go to those means to make it right. That's a sincere apology. That's the apology we need to give our brothers and sisters when we wrong them.
I think it's one that probably most couples deal with, is who should say sorry first. You can never demand an apology. It's never going to be sincere then at that point either. And I think a lot of people struggle with, well, I'm feeling hurt because of this, and the other person's saying, well, I'm feeling hurt because of this, and you guys, it's just a fight on top of fight on top of fight, and then you each expect apologies from each other, but no one wants to let go of their pride and say it first. And one thing I always keep in mind, I've always been told, you treat others as you want to be treated. So if I want respect and I want a sincere apology and him to see from my point of view, I have to put myself out there, say my apology first, understand where his point of view and where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And then,
You guys know this, love your neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Goes right back to that. And once you hold yourself accountable, you'll see a whole world open up. It's no longer, I'm sorry I'm working too much and making too much money for our family that I can't spend time with the kids. Now it's, you know what, I've been really busy lately and I have been neglecting you. I'm going to work a lot harder to show you the kids I love you. And which one do you think she's going to take a sincere apology? And which one's how I'm truly feeling? I don't want to be prideful. I don't want to hold on to that sin. That's like a rock in your heart. You can almost feel it harden when you start holding things in there. And that's the last thing we want. So whoever you need to reconcile with, a sincere apology. Focus on yourself. Don't say, well, now do you feel like you have anything to apologize for? No. Let it go, because as a Christian, you already forgave them and you know it. So what we need to focus on is you apologize to them and making it right. It's not always easy to say it first, and it doesn't mean you're weak. In fact, it means you're strong. In fact, it means you're faithful, and you're faithful to God's Word. That's what it means. So never feel weak or inferior for apologizing. It can be really hard. Like I said, about the letters I wrote, I had to write them to people I'd wronged. I had to write them to two people. I was never a bully, but there was two people in particular I felt like when they were being bullied, I joined in a little bit or didn't say things I should have back before I was saved, and I wrote them apologies. I wrote family apologies for past situations, and I was so adamant about making sure everybody had an apology from me, because it was so important that I realized that my pride was only killing me. Holding on to anger, like we've said, is like drinking poison hoping the other person dies. That's what you're doing by holding on to that. And a sincere apology and letting go of the hurt that you have from what you did wrong in the situation will help set you free. So I really hope this helps you guys. The verse we talked about is Matthew 5, verse 23, and I hope you guys hold on to that one especially. But I do have two more for you guys. So 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. Lead with love. Can't emphasize that enough in your guys' lives. You don't have to be touchy-feely to show love. Love is compassion and courage. That's what you need to be showing. And to have that love be the first thing that leads your life, you're going to be able to do that sincere apology so much easier when you lead with love in your life. It's going to cover over, like it says, a multitude of sins as long as you have that love. And the next is James 5:16. Confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The earnest prayer of a righteous person has great power and produces wonderful results. Now this can be said about a lot of things, but when you confess your sins to each other and pray for each other, it's a way to hold each other accountable, to get some output advice. It's hard to look inward all the time. Sometimes you need to hear from somebody else and say, hey, you know what, I think you were a little rash when you said that to that person. And maybe you didn't think you did anything wrong at all, but it took you hearing it from somebody else. Or just to hold you accountable with things you're working on to cement those changes. Because an apology is great. It is. But the biggest thing is that step 3. What can I do to make it right? Hold on to that. As men and women, we need to keep our word. So if you say you're going to change, hold to that change and get with these men and women who are close to you, confess your sins, let them hold you accountable to that change that you're trying to hold on to.
There is a judge, don't let the hurt that you're feeling and not getting an apology from someone else affect who you are as a person and your actions. The judge is still watching you. So you put yourself out there, you do the apology, don't demand one back, just do what you need to do, and hopefully they'll follow, and if they don't, they're being judged separately.
And just ask for the question, which one will show God's love the most?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Well, as always, thank you guys for listening. Please like, comment any ideas for any future Everyday Hopes, and share the video. We rely on you guys to get the word out there, so every share is appreciated. Appreciate you guys. This is my appreciation face.
Is that the Jesus?
But, and realistically, if you go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, that's the biggest thing, is trying to get that growing still. But as always, you guys, never lose hope.
You don't know what tomorrow may bring.
We'll see you tomorrow.